What's up, everybody? Josh Armijo here. I hope everybody's doing good and well and stuff. I got an album review to do for you, and I'm going to show it to you right now. This is the new album from the band Traumatomy, entitled Extirpation Paradigms. This is released on Gore House Productions. Now, if you're not too familiar with this band, they are based out of both Russia and Japan, and the best way to describe the sound of this band would be a very traditional, contemporary, slamming style of brutal death metal. Yeah. Out of all the bands in today's brutal death metal landscape that are the most consistent, one of the bands that can come to mind right now would definitely be Traumatomy. This is a band that has been very, very busy, very, very active, and regardless of whether they put out an album, an EP, a promo, a split release, a live anything, Traumatomy has always had something to offer. And for the most part, it's been very interesting to see this band grow and evolve year after year with every piece of material that they've put out. Whether it be early EP work like Transformating into a Putrid Mass, their debut full-length album, Transcendental Evisceration of Necrogenetic Beasts, to the follow-up album with Monolith of Absolute Suffering, to later releases like Beneficial Amputation of Excessive Limbs, the demo and split compilation, Chapters of Grotesque Torments, and even the latest thing that came out from them in 2017 with Embodiment of Execution. This band has been very, very solid and consistent, and they have a very modern and contemporary flair to their sound, all while maintaining the same levels of ugliness and brutality that makes up for their music. Super guttural vocals, a lot of really awesome riffs, very heavy breakdowns, bass drops, great drum performance, crazy colorful artwork for each release that they've put out. Traumatomy has been very consistent in all of those ideals. But now moving into 2021, Traumatomy are back, they're on a new label, and we have their third full-length album entitled Extirpation Paradigms. It's 9 tracks, and it clocks in at around 28 minutes in length, so pretty much this is more of a continuation of Traumatomy growing with their sound, growing as a band, and just continuing to get better and better and better, because I think with each release Traumatomy has put out, they have become a lot more tight-knit and a lot better band than ever before. And I would honestly say an album like Extirpation Paradigms would probably be some of the best material I've heard Traumatomy do to date. Because like I said, this is a band that has a very brutal and guttural sort of sound to them, but they have that modern and contemporary touch to make things a lot more fresh and a lot more approachable for the newer sort of fans, because I think this is also one of the most accessible albums that I've heard Traumatomy do to date. If you're into the classic sort of style of brutal death metal, if you're into more modern and contemporary sounds, Traumatomy will offer all of that on this new full-length album. And musically, it is just very, very tightly wound from first intro to the very last track of this album. I mean, musically, these guys know exactly what they're doing, because you have some seriously heavy riffs and breakdown parts to be heard throughout this entire album. That's the main story about Extirpation Paradigms, is the fact that this is a band that knows how to incorporate their slam elements nice and neat. The breakdowns are nice and neat. The bass drops are nice and neat, even though I prefer the natural sort of breakdown sounds as opposed to a bass drop personally. But I still think these breakdowns are fantastic. They're heavy. They're very, very powerful. You hear it on songs like Feeding Organism, Inducing Introgenic Deformity, to the later half of this album with songs like Filled with Abhorrence, Instinctive Defilement, and of course the closing track with Epitome of Depravity. Some absolutely sick music to be heard throughout this entire album. Very well played, great riffs throughout, great breakdowns throughout, awesome, awesome bass tones to be heard throughout. It has a very powerful and leveling sort of sound to be heard throughout. The drum work on here is very sensational. Everything feels very well played. Everything is delivered very nicely. Love the blasts. Love the energy. Love the moments where the drum parts begin to break down alongside the guitars and everything else and just sounds so completely devastating. I love that about this drum performance on this album. And when it comes to the vocals are very, very well done. I love the vocal deliveries. I love the lyrics. I love how guttural and nasty everything sounds. I think it's a really, really awesome vocal performance, especially for the more gory sci-fi sort of stuff this band delves into with their lyrics. I think it's really, really cool. Some great stories to be woven throughout this album. And of course, I mentioned the track Epitome of Depravity earlier. You have Josh from Defeated Sanity doing some guest vocal work on that track. Of course, his vocal style is very distinct and recognizable, so you're able to hear him do his thing very well. But of course, the guy that sings for Traumatomy does very well too. He's definitely a major, major player into this band, and he does some very awesome, awesome vocal work here. So overall, this is another really awesome album in Traumatomy's discography. I definitely would put it high up there with as some of their best work to date, and very much one of their most accessible pieces of work to date. If you're a fan of Traumatomy, I really don't see why you wouldn't have a great time listening to Extirpation Paradigms. I think this is a very, very wonderfully knit package of great breakdowns, great riffs, great production quality, a lot of contemporary and modern flares going on here, and I think Traumatomy make that sound and style work. So if I happen to think of any personal favorite tracks, I would definitely have to say Feeding Organism, Inducing Introgenic Deformity. The title track is very good too. Patterns of Tyranny. And of course the closing track, Epitome of Depravity. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave you some links in the description box as to how you can get a hold of this album and listen to it. I will leave you a link to the Gore House Productions Bandcamp page where you can listen to this album in its entirety, hear it for yourself, and be your own judge as to whether you think it's worthy of being purchased or not. You can stream it by digitally, and it is available physically in a wide multitude of physical formats. Of course, what I have in my hands is the CD version. Of course, you have this really, really beautiful, colorful Demorph artwork. Very good quality here. It's also available on tape, and there will also be a vinyl version available if you want to own multiple formats. So, again, the album is Extirpation Paradigms by Traumatomy. This is released on Gore House Productions. Definitely check this one out. And for a score, I'm going to give this a very strong 8.5 out of 10. Definitely some of the best material I've heard Traumatomy do to date. If you happen to have heard this album, definitely let me know what you think about it, how you feel about it, and how you think it compares to the previous releases, or any of you guys into Traumatomy. Definitely let me know. I'm going to conclude this review. Thanks a lot for watching. Thanks for checking out my channel. Until the next time, Army Hell out.